Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back to Potomac Watch. I am here with Colin Levy and Monet Ukwe-Barua. So we got some news this week. J.D. Vance says that he has agreed to an October 1 debate with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz that's going to be hosted by CBS News. And there's a potential he's actually calling for them to be even more debates. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign not only confirmed that debate, but said that not only will she be debating Donald Trump on September 10th, but if he shows up for that debate, she is open to debating him yet again in October. Before we talk about this, let's listen to a clip of J.D. Vance the night before this debate was scheduled, talking about how he'd like to see it roll.
CBS reached out to us about this literally 3 hours ago. I was landing from a rally and a press conference in Michigan. I strongly suspect we're going to be there on October the 1st, but we're not going to do one of these fake debates, Laura, where they don't actually have an audience there, where they don't actually set the parameters in the right way, where you can have a good exchange of ideas. In other words, we're not going to walk into a fake news media garbage debate. We're going to do a real debate, and if CBS agrees to it, then certainly we'll do it.
Fake debate, Colin. I think that's what everyone's waiting. Look, I have to say, the first debate that we had between Donald Trump and Joe Biden obviously became a huge moment. Sometimes these debates do not turn out that way. I don't know if we've necessarily received all the parameters of this debate yet in terms of all the conditions and rules. But knowing what we know about J.D. Vance, knowing what we know about Tim Walz, I know that, for the instance, Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance in part because he claimed to like J.D. Vance's style when he dealt with reporters, which is that, he doesn't get angry, but he can be quite forceful and push back a lot. I've seen Tim Walz in media situations. He seemed to be similar. He has this avuncular style, but he can also bring the heat. What do you envision in a debate like this? Are we going to get a real debate, or are we going to get character assassinations?
I think it'll be a bit of both, honestly, Kim. I mean, I'm a little bit excited about the J.D. Vance-Tim Walz debate. I think it's going to be a lot more fun than any Trump-Harris debate, both because the vice presidential candidates have a certain amount of, rhetorical sharpness, and also, frankly, the ability to pop off to unpredictable effect. I think so as theater, but also in part as policy, it's likely to be more interesting and revealing than the debate at the top of the ticket. And that's obviously an unusual situation because voters are usually pretty indifferent to the vice presidential candidates and certainly not that excited about vice presidential debates. But this is a slightly different scenario. And I think it'll be particularly interesting because, yes, J.D. Vance seems to be pretty good on his feet, but at the same time, he's a bit, I think, going to be a little bit on the defensive here because of his comments about the cat ladies, the childless cat ladies. So he's going to have to be a little bit careful when he's up there on the stage and make sure he's not saying something really stupid that sort of just launches the Trump campaign into, another mud puddle like he did before. But I think they're both going to be good. I did watch these two guys do their debates, Tim Walz in his 2022 gubernatorial debate and J.D. Vance's Ohio Senate debate against Tim Ryan. And both of them are pretty adept on the stage, and they do speak in complete paragraphs. That doesn't seem like rote memorization. So I think it'll be fun.
I agree. I think it could be really enlightening for people, in part, too, because if you think about it, ever since we've had the announcement of both of these candidates, it's been very much on their past statements or their past history. J.D. Vance and the cat ladies, Tim Walz and his former military service and his record, not so much on the policy issues, and hopefully we'll get that. And Monet, it looks like we really are going to have a presidential debate as well, too, again on September 10th on ABC. Interesting. Trump, if he really has agreed to this, and Kamala, she put him in a box. It was funny. He came out and said, I want to do this and I want to do yet more debates. Though it's curious, she refused to agree to do a debate that he was proposing that would have come even before September 10th, earlier in that month, because it was going to be on Fox News. And her campaign was honest about this. It said, well, we don't want a situation in which Donald Trump comes to his favored network and gets to do one at Fox, and then he'll just abandon the field and won't do one at ABC News. She's now saying if he shows up at the one at ABC on September 10th, she'd be willing to do one in October. I still find it a bit weird. What does it say about her campaign that she's just won't agree to come to Fox News? I mean, Donald Trump is going to other networks. networks. J.D. Vance is going to do this one on a network, both of which have shown some hostility to Republicans in the past. But is the Democratic ticket that nervous about her in a debate environment?
Well, they absolutely are, and with good reason, because she often puts her foot in her mouth in all of her public appearances. And that's exactly why she has pursued a campaign strategy of almost complete avoidance. And not wanting to go into a Fox News hosted debate is absolutely another example of that. Fox News has hosted presidential debates in primaries and I believe in general elections as well through the years, and they have always been fair. I think that obviously anyone coming from the Democratic side would have some trepidation about how they'd come off, but just looking at the track record, Fox knows that that's a tough responsibility to be able to host a debate and do so in a way that comes off as being fair and historically has done so. You can contrast her approach with Donald Trump's, where he's been willing to go into hostile environments. Obviously, most of the media is outrightly hostile toward him, and he'll take the tough questions. And when there is unfairness, he tries to spin it to his advantage by being very aggressive in a way that shows people that he's being mistreated, but still willing and able to get his message across. But Kamala, especially because she has such a short period of being on top of the ticket, thinks that she can hide away as much as possible and avoid tough questioning. So in the end, they're going to continue to discuss with each other the details of where and when these debate appearances might be. But you can definitely count on Trump as being the more aggressive and Kamala trying to make sure that whatever appearance she agreed to are going to be ones where she's unlikely to actually be put in a very difficult position.
Colin, what bets are you wagering that these debates might really play in? Again, I think a lot of us were surprised at how important that debate was in the end between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. But at the same time, we see a lot of analysis suggesting there's a very, very tiny slice of people who remain undecided in this election. Your own views on the importance of these debates to the election?
I think that they are going to be important for that small sliver who really haven't gotten a chance to see these candidates speak yet. I think one really important sliver of that is going to be the elusive suburban women who will be listening very closely on the abortion question. And I think that that is an area in particular where it may be interesting to hear how Tim Walz and J.D. Vance handle that. You know, I have seen J.D. Vance in previous debates parry that question in a way that sort of addresses his own pro-life stance, but also ties it into the strong women in his family who have different views, you know, who believed that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare, to borrow the old Clinton phrase. And, you know, I think the way that the candidates can handle that could really affect some of those key swing voters, women in swing states, if they're handled gently and properly.
Yeah, I agree. Look, here's my own reasons why I think that this is going to be a very watched debate and could have some real impact is that, first of all, as you said, Colin, people haven't really seen these guys face to face, and they've heard nothing from Kamala Harris other than what she has said up from a podium with a teleprompter since she announced her bid for the presidency. We're still waiting to hear what policies she is even supporting. And also, I think just given the history, given that the last debate was so consequential in the end, I think that tees them up for a very watched moment. And so there will be some high stakes for both of them in this meeting and in the vice presidential race. Thank you, Monet. Thank you, Colin. We thank our listeners for being here with us. We are here every weekday. We will be back tomorrow. You can email us at pwpodcast@wsj.com. And if you like the show, please hit that subscribe button.